So this is Winnie Anderson with the Let's Talk Tech Show. Welcome to this video demonstration that is a companion piece to episode 1, which is all about registering your domain name and getting launched on the web or deciding to expand your web presence with a domain name. With me today is Mike McLaughlin. Mike is the Senior VP for the domains of GoDaddy, and he's going to walk us through the GoDaddy site as well as answer some questions about getting registered and getting a great domain name. So welcome, Mike. You ready to talk tech?
I am. Let's do it.
All right, outstanding. So we were talking on the other episode about registering a domain, and that's one thing that I just want to clear up very quickly is to make sure that folks understand, even though we say buy a domain, I'm going to get my domain, we're really not talking about a purchase, are we?
No, we're not. We use the word buy, and it's a bit of a misnomer. What we're really talking about is registering a domain name. It's effectively you get to rent it for a certain period of time. For most domains, you can register a domain name for anywhere from 1 to 10 years. And then at that point, when that registration period is up, you have the opportunity to renew the domain. But if you don't renew the domain, then it does go back into the pool for anyone to register again. So to make sure that once you've registered a domain to hang on to it, you want to make sure that you do all the good things around a subscription business, whether it be making sure you're on auto renew, making sure that your contact and billing information is up to date, so you hang on to that domain.
Yeah, and that's super critical. And we're going to show you that as we demo through registering a domain. But I can tell you, I'm an author, as many of you probably know. I have a couple of books out, and my very first book, I was so proud that I finally got it done, got Ken Blanchard himself to endorse it, bought the domain name for the book as, for the book's title, lost it. And it was horrible. So a really painful lesson learned, got it back, which is the good news, and I got it back with the help of the nice folks at GoDaddy. But you really want to make sure that you preserve that domain, set it up for auto renew. It's really worth it. So here we are, and we're on GoDaddy, and the big thing that people think about is, okay, I'm going to get a domain. What the heck do I pick? Or they think, okay, I'm going to get the name of my business, Joe's Restaurant, and joesrestaurant.com is taken. So Mike, can you step us through the process of actually looking for a domain and choosing one and how to figure out, is the one I want available?
Of course. So here we are in GoDaddy's homepage, godaddy.com. GoDaddy is a registrar, so it's a place that you come to register domain names, and we're well known for that. We actually do have other services as well. Once you've bought a domain, you can set up a website, or if you're more advanced, you can get a hosting product, and you can do online marketing. You can use your domain for email. So we serve kind of a full set of small business needs, but let's focus on domain names today. And as you see, there's lots of different domain names out in the domain name system that you can choose from. These are what we call top-level domains. The one that we're most used to is .com, but there are quite a few out there. The .co's and .orgs that we're used to, as well as many new ones that have entered the domain name system over the past couple of years, such as a .xyz. Getting started, really what you need to do is just start looking for the domain that's right for you. And so, you face a search box, and the thing to think about is, how do I describe my business, right? That's kind of often a good way to just start. So, and it can be location, it can be kind of the type of business that I'm in, it can be my name. And so, let's try, Winnie. I think you're in New York. Let's try New York Tech Talk. And if we search for this, now we're going to get a search result, and NewYorkTechTalk.com is taken, right? Which would be the most likely thing sitting in the U.S. that if you type that in, we would think that you might want. But and that's not atypical. There's 115 million or more .coms registered around the world, and only one person in the world can have nytechtalk.com. That's just the way the addressing book of the internet works, and so. What we have to do then is think about, okay, what's a great name given that one may not be available? And so when you look through kind of our search results, what you'll see is GoDaddy is doing a lot of work to try to offer a set of names that might be good alternatives.
Mhm.
So if you look down some of the recommendations here, you'll recognize some names that that might be familiar. So we take the same name to the left of the dot, and we say, hey, it's available in .org. It's also available in .net. You'll notice that also available are some interesting, what we call top level domains, the extension to the right of the dot. New York Tech Talk.guru is available. And down here, New York Tech Talk.technology is available. So there are .chat is available. So there's now a increasing number of alternatives in the domain name system to choose from to the right of the dot. And then we'll also think about, okay, what can you do to the left of the dot? Here, this one was actually pretty straightforward. Instead of the singular, we're able to simply append an S, NewYorkTechTalks.com, and here you are with a .com that almost exactly matched what you were looking for, and you can get it at, get it and go today and get building with it. So, those are a bunch of options. And as we look further down, I'll highlight one other, which is talk-tech.com. Premium. So this is an aftermarket name, right? Short, memorable, and it's running at $995 for the registration. So this is a name that is already registered, but the person who has registered that name recognizes it as a valuable name asset and has it listed for sale in the GoDaddy aftermarket, and you can buy it and for that price and then get using it. So these are the types of things that you want to be thinking about as you're searching for a name. So, hey, this NewYorkTechTalks.com looked pretty interesting. Should we go select this one?
Sure.
All right.
One
So,
thing I want to mention about that premium domain, because sometime at some point, when Tech Talk is really a gigantic podcast and a big brand, it might be worth it to me or to you is deciding what name do I want to get. If a domain is that important to you, paying that price might be a good strategy. I thought it was important to notice though that you're once you pay the 9.95, you're not paying that every year. That's that initial premium because then the renewal price is right underneath there and it's 14.99 or whatever is the going price at the time for GoDaddy, right?
right. And yeah, so the couple important points in there. One is, yeah, the 995, effectively, that's the price you're paying to gain control of the domain from the
Mhm.
current registrant. And then on an ongoing basis, once you do have control of the domain, the renewal price is $14.99 for a .com, and that's per year, right? And that's an important thing to realize too, is that when you're looking at all the prices at GoDaddy and any other domain registrar, pretty much the names are priced on a per year basis. So when you think about, for most of these names, anywhere from a .info at $2.99, a .solutions at $24.99, even the premium name at $9.95, they're remarkably affordable kind of on an ongoing basis, right? So when you're thinking about your digital brand and how important the domain name is to project your identity and, the essence of what you do online, getting the right domain name is important, but it can also be very affordable.
Yeah, great points. Yeah, this is an investment that you're making. It's not an expense. It's really an investment in your brand. So we choose our domain, and then what's next?
Well, once we've chosen a domain, we've got NewYorkTechTalks.com here. Let's continue. And what the couple decisions that we're going to have to make before we decide to check out with our domain. One very important one: privacy. So when you register a domain name in the global addressing system of the internet, the way the internet's set up and the rules around it is that by default, the registration information that you provide when you register the name, your personal name, your address, your phone number, your email address, that information by default is published in what's called the Who Is directory, which is public for the entire world to see. And so, that is fertile ground for spammers and phishers and other folks who want to get control of your personal information, to reach out and be contacting you for means that you may not want. And so, for a few bucks a year, you can basically put privacy on top of that information. And what that is a service that GoDaddy and most other registrars provide as well, which will, instead of putting your personal information out on the web for anyone to see, it'll basically be GoDaddy's information. And we hold your information behind that privacy service. And
Yeah,
so we,
sorry, go ahead.
And so we typically recommend this if you are using your personal information. And for most small businesses, especially ones that are just starting up, it often is your email, your phone number, your home address that you're putting in. And so from that standpoint, we think privacy is valuable.
I,
It's also
more
like,
more than just 7.99, it's valuable. Yeah, yeah. I just a quick horror story. I had a client who came to me after she had done all this and wanted some work done with her website and some strategy, and she had not chosen this privacy protection. She ended up signing over the registration. It just became this horrible nightmare that took me months to even get to the bottom of, well, who's got this domain and how do we get it transferred back into her GoDaddy account. So, we're not giving you business advice here on this. This is just general information, but I really want to stress, as Mike has stressed, that they tend to recommend it. I do too. So really, you want to seriously think about it. Don't think of it as it's another $8. That's an investment into protecting your brand and your aggravation. So sorry to jump in there, but that's really a hot topic for me.
That's good. And so, as we flip down the page here, the other things that GoDaddy offers and many registrars do is the opportunity to actually build a website using our website builder, use hosting. I won't choose that right now just for simplicity's sake because we're focused on domains here. And the other is email. And this is the one that the other primary use case besides building a site on your domain is actually using your domain for professional domain-based email rather than using a Gmail or a Yahoo or a Hotmail.com account. It just projects the level of professionalism when you're using your own domain.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And so I'll continue to the cart. We'll just stick with the domain with privacy attached right now, and I'll proceed to checkout.
You can go back at some point. Let's say I get my domain and then I go, you know what, I'm going to build my own site. I'm not going to have somebody else do it. You can go back and then always add this to your account at a later time. Is that right?
Absolutely, and I'll show you, even deeper in this flow here where you can add it later. So
Great.
absolutely, you don't have to choose at the very moment that you are registering a domain name if you're not ready to get started on your site yet. You can obviously come back and do this later. I already had an account set up, so just for simplicity and for time, I logged into an existing account here, and I'm going to place my order. Oops. Accept terms, place order. Uh-oh. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, this happens.
That's exactly right.
There we go. Placing the order. My old
And
account.
and actually, and I know you didn't mean to do that, but that's actually a great example of how easy it is to allow information to expire. We all get our new credit card and how many email addresses do we have? My gosh. So if you haven't updated your email address, whoever your registrar is can't notify you that your credit card's expired. And you don't want to have a domain that is so precious to you once you've gotten it. You don't want to lose that. And I've had friends who've had that happen too. It's a nightmare. So I'm actually glad that that little glitch happened because it's such an important thing that it bears being hammered home.
Right. It is. And so, despite, having to change the payment on account, I think what we showed too as well is that it's, just getting a domain doesn't have to be that hard and that scary, right?
Right.
Like, we do a search, we get a whole bunch of options, we kind of find one or more that we really like, and, it's pretty quick to get out the door. And now I've got a domain, right? So what's happening in the background now is GoDaddy, the registrar, is effectively registering the domain kind of within the domain name system so that you can then you do something with the domain. And so I think, once you've got that domain, that's great, but a domain unto itself doesn't do anything, right? Just owning a domain doesn't do anything. You don't have a site yet, you don't have email yet, you don't have anything yet. So what I want to do is just show, hey, how do I manage this domain, right? And so what can I do with it? And so if I click on manage domain here, I'll come into my domain management area. And you'll notice I've got a couple domains in here. This is, again, an existing account. So I've already got mikespike.info, and I've got that connected to a different website. I've got nameguy.co, and that's connected to a website. Here's nameguy.us. I haven't used this one yet. So I can go ahead and use this domain. And here's the one we just bought. And as I said, kind of under the covers right now is effectively that domain is getting set up technically within the global domain name system. And so we, without going into the technology behind it, we have to go to the registry that runs .com, which is VeriSign, and they kind of set it up on their end. And then we're setting up, again, on our end, the technology to be able to use this. That usually takes a couple minutes. And so just for the sake of time, what I'd suggest is why don't we go over to nameguy.us and let's put that domain to work. And so if I click use my domain, then there's a couple typical things that, again, most small businesses and individuals use domains for. One is I can go build a new website. Another over here is I can set up professional email. These two I talked about. I want to talk about another way that many people don't even realize exists of how you can use a domain name and set it up in seconds and get some value out of it. And this is connecting to an existing site somewhere out there, some content somewhere out on the web. You notice Twitter, Facebook, WordPress. So here I go in and I can connect nameguy.us and I can connect it to a whole bunch of different places. And by connecting it, I mean I take this domain name and I point it so that when somebody types in nameguy.us into a browser, it's going to resolve, it's going to bring up the content on a given page. And so just for the sake of an example, I'll choose LinkedIn here. And if I actually just say, hey, okay, my LinkedIn profile is, let me type here. That's my LinkedIn profile. Literally, I'm going to connect next on this. We're going to confirm that nameguy.us, the domain name, when somebody types it in, is going to redirect to my LinkedIn page. And I'm going to hit finish. And at this point, success, it's in the process of connecting. It may take a couple minutes. Within a couple minutes, what's going to happen now is anybody around the globe, they type in nameguy.us, they're going to find my LinkedIn page.
That's fantastic.
And so I use this just as an example. Obviously, we had a lot of different options for how you can connect a domain, but it's a really, really intriguing way to just kind of get started, right? If you have a Facebook page, if you have a LinkedIn profile, if you have a Twitter feed, if you have a personal blog, if you have something out on, say, WordPress or Blogger, if you have some content somewhere where you're starting to talk about your business, this is a great way to buy a domain. Just get started using it. Once it's up and running, as I have with some of these other ones, I can always manage a connection and change it from pointing to my LinkedIn page as I have it now and go build a website on it. I have complete and full control over what that domain does.
That's brilliant. And I have to tell you, I've been a GoDaddy customer for a long time. It was not always that easy to do, to take a domain and point it somewhere else. So to have it be really one button and you're done, that's spectacular. And I think this also shows people that you don't have to, well, I don't have a website yet. Don't panic. Get the domain. That's the important purchase, is to really get that domain secured for you, then point it wherever you already have a profile, and then you can work with your developer to plan out your website, and you don't have to feel like you're panic stricken. So I love that. That's a great, great feature.
Yeah, and so you're right that this hasn't always been easy from kind of the standpoint of like the domain name industry and the hosting industry didn't always make this easy, and we forced folks through lots of kind of technical jargon. And really, what we're doing now is making this point and shoot simple, no coding involved, no technology, that you need to know. It just kind of works, right? And that's what we want. We want to make this as easy as possible. We want to make this a journey so that you get it. Domain, you get started using it, you get a website that you can build on over time, you get your domain-based email. And this is a process, right? You don't have to do everything day one. Some customers do, many don't, but this is kind of the process of how you build into a great web presence.
Great, great. That's fantastic. Okay, so what's the next step?
Well, after this, I've got my domain up and running here. New York Tech Talks is now ready to use. Nameguy.us is connected to LinkedIn. This is ready to run. New York Tech Talks, if I wanted to use this one right now, I would, go and I'd build a new website or I'd set up an email. And these are at this point, and I don't, this is beyond kind of the scope of what we were going to talk about today. But at that point, I'd go through and if I wanted to build a new website, I could, for example, and I'll show you just the options, I can use a website builder, which is a do-it-yourself product, right? You for a few dollars a month, you buy a website builder. It's online. It's what you see is what you get. It's click, drag, and drop, and you actually can build your own website without knowing a line of code, right? And a lot of folks who are just getting started, again, it's remarkably affordable, and these are tools that anyone can use. If you're building a store, you can choose the online store product. Same kind of rules apply there. It's kind of what you see is what you get, and you can get going with a simple online store. And then the other two, managed WordPress and hosting, are more advanced kind of solutions for developers who might be building a site on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And so each one of these are simple products which cost a few dollars a month and can kind of get you on the next step of the journey.
Great, great. Okay. So we've got our domain is pointing somewhere, and now we need to just make the decision about where you're going to move forward. What's the next step in creating your online presence and really securing that presence? So let's just talk just quickly. I know we might be backpedaling on some things that we'd addressed, but so when you're getting that site and you're getting it launched, when you registered the domain, there were things that you needed to choose. We talked about the privacy, especially. The nature of your business also speaks to some of the things that you need. And one of those was the SSL certification that we had talked about in our other episode, the audio episode. Can you talk a little bit about what that is specifically and who would be concerned with something like that?
Sure. So an SSL certificate is basically encryption for data that is being entered onto your website. So I'll just go over to the page here, but it's an encryption service, and what it is typically used for, and when you need it, is when on your website you're collecting important data. Typically, we think about credit card payments. So if you're running any kind of e-commerce online store, you want to have an SSL certificate so that nobody can basically kind of get that information as it's traveling across the internet. But it's not just for credit cards. It's think about whenever you're taking any kind of personal identification information into a field in your website where you don't want bad guys getting a hold of it, and your customers, frankly, don't want bad guys getting a hold of it. And so that's when we recommend that you think about an SSL certificate.
Okay, great. And again, that's something that you can always go back and add to your account, no matter who you've gotten to register your domain name. So once you get the domain, you can always add and build up your account with the other tools that you need. The most important decision is get the domain name, and what are you going to use for that, right?
Exactly.
Okay, excellent. Anything else that you think somebody should see or know about as they're making their way around navigating the site and getting their purchase set up?
Yeah, I think that just the overarching thing that I'd comment on is that the there's a lot that you can do. And as I said, kind of at the start here, you can build a website, you can have email, you can have a third party do hosting, you can get SSL certificates, you can start do your online marketing. These are things that you build over time as you build into your experience, right? And you build your presence as a small business. And so, kind of the typical way to think about it is, again, get your domain, do something with that domain. Think about what kind of presence you want. By that I mean, website. And so either think about doing a do-yourself website, or if you're going to use a third party to do that, then you go find a web professional to do that on your behalf, and they build you a site. You want to make sure that you can still control the domain. And then once you've got a domain, a website, then we think about email. And with email, again, domain-based email, you can use the same domain that you used for your website and put email on top of it as well. And at that point, you have a basic presence. Once you get outside of that, then you start thinking about, okay, what are all my other points of presence that I should have? And many of those are social, right? Should I have a Twitter handle? Should I have a Facebook page? Do I need a LinkedIn page for myself or for my business, right? Just making sure that you have kind of a set of things out, a set of content out around the web that folks can, go find you and find out about you. And then as you get more sophisticated, you can talk about various online marketing, the most obvious being email marketing. So once you actually have your own customers, then thinking about, okay, how do I actually reach back out to those customers? And email online marketing is still today one of the most effective ways of doing so.
Right.
So, these are all things that GoDaddy can help you with. And so, my recommendation is kind of just get started. And, whenever you have a problem, right, we're here to help, right? We're here with, online help. We're here with chat. We're here with, with somebody to call. We have over 3,000 folks in a call center, whether you're using GoDaddy or somebody else. You want to make sure that you can get support through this whole process. And, we do recognize that, support is something that many small businesses needs as they're getting up and running. And our goal is to get, that small nascent business with a kernel of an idea who's come to us for a domain name to get them up and running and get them successful. So please reach out. We have folks on the phone who can help you through this.
That's fantastic. And yet, domain names are so reasonably priced, but they're so critical to your overall business strategy and your marketing strategy. Just buy it. And even if you've just got a great idea, just make that purchase, because maybe you're a consultant and you're going to get into offering products, or you're going to write a book. As soon as you have that thought about what that product could be, lock in that domain and worry about it later, because yeah, it's such a great price. It's not something that you want to nickel and dime over. And then, heaven forbid you have to pay a premium when somebody else has bought that domain and is holding it on the open market then for a bigger price. So all great information. And the criteria that Mike mentioned about really talks about how you choose a domain registrar. Do they have top flight support? Can you pick up the phone and call them? Can you send an email whenever you want to? Do they have chat? So they have multiple ways of getting in touch with you. It's not something that you want to be hyper price fixated on, because my money is that you're not just paying for just the address. It's the big machine behind it. It's the support and all the other things that come with that. So that's just my 2 cents on how important it is to make a good selection when you're going to choose a registrar. And one other thing I want to wrap up with, Mike, if you could comment on this issue about, okay, now I've got the domain name, I need to get the site built. Do I do this myself? Do I hire somebody else to do it? And so many developers out there will say, hey, we'll take care of registering your domain for you. And you've mentioned make sure you have control and access to that. Can you comment a little bit about how somebody could make the decision between, am I a do-it-yourselfer or do I need to hire somebody else?
Sure. I think the decision is one of kind of comfort with being able to kind of work online and build something, even with no coding involved, but just being able to design a site. We do make that very easy through our website builder. So do others, where you pre-choose templates so that you don't have to start with a blank sheet of paper. You actually start with a template and then you fill it in with your pictures, your text, your information. So it really is pretty straightforward to get a basic site up. And from a price standpoint, doing a do-it-yourself website builder usually is going to run you a few dollars a month, right? So it's, again, very, very affordable. Right. If you just, that the idea of doing it yourself just, turns you off and you want a professional to do it, there are many, many web designers and developers out there who will help you build a site. It will be at a very different price point, right? Now you're asking an individual to spend, hours of time building you what may be a very custom and high quality website, but you're going to pay for that. And that's usually going to run you, thousands of dollars or more, depending on kind of the level of customization. So it's a decision about how comfortable you are yourself and how much you want a basic site, which you can do with a website builder, versus something custom with advanced features that you will need somebody to build on your behalf. And the price points will reflect that.
Right. Great.
Either way, I think both are perfectly great ways to go depending on who you are and what you need. It's just, and we support both. We support, the do-it-yourselfer with our domains and website builder product. And then, our hosting products are really meant for the folks who are the web professionals who are building on the small business's behalf. And we support those folks as well. So, we're equally happy either way to see, that small business get started. It's just really what that business owner wants to do.
Great. Thank you. So these decisions are strategic. It's not just a matter of here's $10, I'm going to go get a domain name. It does take some thought. You've got either folks at GoDaddy, any registrar you can call and think these things through, or if you're working with a consultant, then that person can help you navigate these decisions as well. But Mike, I really appreciate your time today to navigate the site for us and help the everybody listening and watching really think about, okay, I got to get online. I'm tired of dragging my feet. Now, how do I do it? So this has been Mike McLaughlin. He's the SVP of Domains with GoDaddy, who's taken so much of his time today. And I really appreciate you being here, Mike, very, very much. So, if you want information, check GoDaddy out or any other registrar. And if you like the show, I hope you'll give it a great review, give it 5 stars, share it with your friends and contacts, and share questions about what other tech is out there stumping you so we can do those episodes as well. And this has been Let's Talk Tech with Winnie Anderson, and I hope the tech gods smile on you. Mike, I will catch up with you online.